I haven't had fried eggs for... Footnote, another last little footnote. I haven't had fried eggs for several months actually. I have to use this shitty camera because that one is up there. Higher. Bluetooth tethering, laptop to just a modem and camera. Higher you can get it, away from the effect, the kind of Faraday effect of a mobile tin can, the better, because every second counts. It still takes 30 minutes for 4 gigabytes, 40 minutes, right to the point. Oh, I actually see some walkers. This is a tremendous sacrifice because today, and I mean it, because today's like today, I'd rather be walking that hill, but no, I've got to get on with this. Now, I mentioned Bolivia. Now, if a certain person sees this, oh, my life is my life. I'm lucky. I know I generally do the right thing. And within the movie, oh yes, there are some really wonderful little vignettes, because I got to know a guy in Portugal in the Stone Hotel, an incredible young man, Mikhail. I'd like to meet him again. I tried to. I wrote to him 3 or 4 years ago. Russian young man, mafia, but an incredible man who would come to the canteen table. He's only 21. Such a tough guy. He'd come to the canteen table every morning with a different book in a different language. And he wanted to sit next to me and practice his English. Anyway, that's a wonderful vignette story. And it's about what is authenticity. 3 or 4 weeks later, I mean, it was apparent that he literally, the lady director of that little jail, the guards, they accepted him running the jail. They know he was the tough guy, but he was also the gentlest person. I never saw him in any way threaten any violence. Now, that's slightly contentious, but honour, or the Portuguese word that I learned, saudade, coração, terribly important, and saudade, honour. We've become so cynical. And even okay, there was a little bit of fear in there too, not really. Kept my distance slightly from this guy, but he was just astonishing. And he said to me one morning, he said, Simon, he said, the mafia, or rather, no, not mafia, the Western Russian hoodlums, he just said, I was brought up with nothing. I think he lived in a city, some small city that we've never heard of in Western Russia. Simon, we were brought up with nothing, we had nothing, and we want your stuff. And basically in 1 or 2 sentences, he's like, I want to be the best mafia ever, which means I've got to be fluent in half a dozen languages. Anyway, mafia, contentious word, we're certainly not going to be approaching the mafia for funding. Right, I got 2 minutes because I'm going to enjoy those eggs. Mikhail. So, yeah. Oh, and he used to do his exercises, his yoga, trendy yoga, but the tough guy version of yoga, with a boombox in the middle of this great big yard, and everybody would watch him. And he had that song on, that. All the things you want. That song, I call it the Leslie song. Oh, fuck me. That was the moment the music came back. And the astonishing song. What's it called? O Resto do Tutu. João Pedro Paes. Oh, the Portuguese I discovered have got such absurd soul, it's ridiculous. Anyway, to the point. Yeah, so a few weeks into this, as I was getting a bit of media attention, I needed to get to the facts occasionally. And The woman director was so friendly and cooperative. She loved it. But occasionally you have a change of personnel, and there's a guard on who you haven't encountered before and thinks you... Anyway, so I asked Michaela, can you arrange for me to get to the fax machine? And he said, yeah, of course, because he... Well... But then, perhaps the following morning, I happened to see a guard that I had encountered. There were only 3 or 4 of them. They were quite funny, really. And I asked him, and got to the fax machine. So that afternoon, Michaela's like, oh, I've arranged it for you. Oh, I've already done this. And he would never have been unpleasant with me in any way. And they all knew I had nothing. I actually was in the jail with just one t-shirt and some ridiculous pants that the embassy lady had given me. Anyway, quickly. And I learned something, because he was dejected. He said, didn't you think I'd do this for you? And Michaela, sorry, I just had to just do it as soon as I could. Yeah, the first time I had the opportunity. Yeah, you're right. You know, I learnt what the best version of pride and honour is. But fast forward. Yeah. No matter what anybody else might think, I went to Bolivia 4.5 years ago. I hate my name, but the guy who the immigration man at the airport, the policeman, very militaristic. The moment he said my name, he looked at my passport. I was absolutely done in. 1.5 days travelling in the cheap seats. He looked up and he said, Shimon. I'm just an ordinary passenger in a one-horse airport. Shimon, welcome to Bolivia. And just like that was, I liked my name. I don't like my name. But anyway, to the point. Bolivia. Films. The film I want to make, and I've already done the draft version, and I realised I can share this. I spent 10 days in Bolivia, and I just realised, they're magnificent people. Officially the poorest country in South America, according to silly Wikipedia. It's the richest place I've ever been to in the world in terms of people. And not for the tourists. Anyway, one day, frightened, walking around with a camera, a bit, just to keep a diary of this incredible place. I shouldn't have been frightened. It was safe, I never saw any trouble. But anyway, I happened across a marketplace, and the bin men were collecting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the waste. And I just followed the bin lorry for a quarter of an hour. And he's going on, ringing his bell every 5 minutes. Anyway, I'd already discovered by the people, talk about making do with nothing and always having a smile on their face, or almost always. But also speaking with people, because there was a partial mini revolution just about to begin. No is no. The magnificent first ethnic Indian, ethnic person who'd become a president in South America. There's a slight question mark over that. 38 seconds left. Right. Morales, and he'd done a little bit of a shifty on a referendum they'd had. Exactly mirroring our Brexit. Anyway, I spent time with the people, talking with them, ordinary people who hadn't succumbed to our dreadful, clever dick version of society yet. And the amount of people I heard just talking about this in a wonderful way. Now we've got to keep authentic. I realised something. All of the West has become so cynical. Anyway, the one film I already have in draft version, I want to go back to that bin lorry because it was going along. Ding ding! You're kidding. There can't be a vehicle coming along again. Ferrets, we need to get you somewhere better. They come up. There is. I don't believe it. This is like the spookiest magic in the world. Yeah, Sainsbury's lorry. Right, even up here. Why they anyway, nothing to do with me. Right. Yeah. The poorest country in the world, great big food market, local produce, and the smiles and jokes and laughing as the women and men would come and bring their rubbish after a little bit of rubbish. Only a bit of rubbish because they wouldn't waste much, of course, being so poor. After their day's trading, they'd come and put it in the lorry, and it was just this incredible, smiley thing as the West is having to get used to 10-15% inflation and average wages will go down. You know, I just saw that the most magnificent, wonderful, heart uplifting thing. I want to go back and make a proper film of it. That's one thing I want to do. That's where my heart, no, my heart's in everything. There we go, end of, over and out. Bolivia.